Lots of factors you can't control influence the success of your podcast, but you can control your intent, and you can learn to apply that intent with purpose across your podcasting efforts. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. I think every rational person intends on having a great podcast. And I can assure you that every rational listener intends to only listen to great podcasts. Look, no one intends to listen to something that's just meh or okay. We might wind up listening to that, but our intent was to listen to something better, something great. Because intent matters. I was thinking about this yesterday as I was doing a workout. Sheila's got me doing these crazy barre classes remotely, which are great. I actually enjoy the workout. Nice little short movements. And at one point in time, the instructor talked about intent. And intent is very important here, right? Because you're not just doing big, heavy lifting. You're doing little small motions. And you have to intentionally focus on certain muscles. Lift with your butt cheeks, not your thigh, for example. And I was thinking about a friend of mine and podcaster, whose name is George, much in better shape than I am, serious about these working out. When George works out, and he guys seriously goes to the gym and things like that, although not so much these days because of COVID-19, when he does that, he is so focused on his workout. He is so intentional about his workout that he doesn't even listen to music. Which is weird. That was the whole benefit to me of going to the gym pre-COVID days, is so I had more time to listen to podcasts. George doesn't do that. Doesn't listen to music. Why? He's focused in on his intent. He gets a more intense workout because of his intentional focus on it. And it made sense to me last night when I was doing the little barre exercises. So with that, it gave me the idea to talk about intent on the program. And that's intent as podcasters as opposed to just, going through the motions, just accepting the routine that we have developed here in our podcasting efforts. And I came up with 7 ways you can apply intent. Because it's one thing to say, look, podcast with intent, but there's another way, it's another thing altogether to actually apply that. So here's how you might do that. Number 1, use intent when you are selecting your guests for the show, if in fact you have guests for your show, but many podcasts do. Why are you inviting the guest on the program? If the intent of inviting a guest on the program is that, well, they're a big name person, they've got a big following, and so that will then give me a bigger audience on the end. They can bring an audience to my show. Okay, that may be okay, but does that really serve your audience? Is that what your audience wants to hear? Is the entire reason you brought someone on a program is to boost your numbers? That doesn't sound like a very interesting conversation you're about to have with that person. So you've automatically set yourself up to not have a very interesting conversation because you're just hoping their presence will boost your numbers. Number 2, intent with your publishing. You may just slam out publishing. You may just do the last bits of editing and writing your copy and those various things because it saves you a huge amount of time. And I understand the desire there. But what's the outcome you're going to get from rushing through the publishing process other than just saving time? Where's the benefit? What do you expect to get out other than time back? Congrats, you've got time back, but you have not intentionally made a better show. So be intentive, apply intent to the publishing process of podcasting. Also, think about intent with your repurposing of content. Are you copying and pasting in all different places? I'll be honest, there's some places where I'm copying and pasting, not making content specific to that medium, to that channel, to whatever. There's a great blog post, which I will link to here, from my friend Mark from Captivate.fm, which I'm on the advisory board. He talks about why for his show, he's no longer repurposing videos out to YouTube after trying several different efforts, trying several different efforts, he's decided to give up on that. And it all comes back to intent of purposing in that particular medium. What about intent when you are the guest? Not when you have a guest, but one of the great ways that we podcasters get our name out there is by guesting on other shows. Think about the intent of you being on a show. And here's another area where I struggle. What do I want to get out of that appearance? I need to probably do some due diligence on the show itself to understand the topic. Yes, I'm there to be an expert. I'm there to offer my opinion, and I'm there to make sure that I give this as good of a show as possible. I am totally focused on making the show really, really good. But I should be focused on what do I want to get out of this deal? This exposure I'm getting for myself, what's it come back to me? Same thing you should be thinking about when you're a guest on someone's program. What about the intent when you present yourself as a podcaster to the world beyond podcasting? Do your friends and family know you're a podcaster? Probably, because you bore them nonstop. But the other people you interact with on a regular basis, do they know you're podcasting? Does your social media presence indicate that you're a podcaster? And if so, what kind of podcaster? What's your intent? Does everything come through with what you are, who you are, and does that flow back into your podcast? What about the intent of the things that you listen to, the podcasts you listen to? Are you listening to grow as a podcaster, to nourish your psyche, to replenish your soul? Those are great things. Those are good reasons. Those are good intents on listening to other podcasts. Or are you just keeping up with those that are in the top 10 list? Or whatever. Are you just following trends because it's fun? Where's your intent on the things that you should be listening, that you are listening to? Are they helping you? And finally, what about the intent wrapped around your show or episode prep? There's the old adage about sharpening your axe, which I've said 100 times on the show. Sharpen your axe before you cut down the tree. But prepping for a show before you sit down to record oftentimes will take many multiples of the time it takes to actually do the recording. Do the prep work up front. Be intentional in your upfront episode prep. Will likely help you out. Now, like I said, I struggle through some of these. I'm not perfect. No one is. We can't be intentional all the time. I have not reached quite that Zen master level. But I think if we're intentional about our approach to podcasting, it will give us a boost to our overall podcasting efforts. If you agree with me and the other things that I say, I encourage you to please go to buymeacoffee.com/evoterra and buy me a virtual coffee. It's a nice way for you to say thank you to me. But most importantly, tell a friend about Podcast Pontifications. Do it with intent. Intentionally reach out via email to one working podcaster you know and let them know about Podcast Pontifications, because together, I think we can all work towards making podcasting better. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow for yet another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers.